Welcome, welcome, welcome each and everyone. Today I'm going to go through 100 questions for the US citizenship test. So this is the aspect of civics and history test. There are 100 questions and we are going through all these questions and you are supposed to get 6 answers correctly. These questions are official questions for you to start reading it. If you want to memorize them, that will be good. You need to get 6 answers correctly out of 10. So if they're asking 10 questions, and question number 6, you got all the 6 correctly, they will stop. If you don't, they will keep asking until you get 6 out of 10 questions they are going to ask you. These are official from the US Citizenship and Immigration Services. So it's from the agents of the US government. So I will go through these questions, but I will be adding some few comments on some of the answers to make it easier for you. Myself, I went through this test in the year 2012 when I became the US citizen. As I said, you are supposed to have, out of these 100 questions, they will ask just 10 questions. And these questions will be a random questions from this 100. And the answers they are supposed to be, must be 6 out of 10 correctly. For the people who are 65 years and older than that and have been green card holder for over 20 years, they don't need to go through all the questions. There will be fewer questions for them to memorize the questions with this kind of mark. So let me go and start these questions and we can be able to go through together. Question number 1. What is the supreme law of the land? What is the supreme law of the land? The supreme law of the land is Constitution. Constitution is the one which determines each and everything. The second question, what does the Constitution do? The Constitution, as we said at the beginning, is the one defining everything. So the Constitution is the one which sets the government, defines the government, protects the basic rights of Americans. So you don't need to answer all the 3 questions, all the 3 answers. If you give one of those answers, that will be correct. They don't expect you to answer all the 3. So if you say it sets up the government, or defines the government, or protects the rights of all Americans, one of those you'll be correctly. Question number 3. The idea of self-government in the first 3 words of the Constitution. What are these 3 words? The 3 words you get into the Constitution are we the people. We the people are the first 3 words of the preamble of the Constitution of the United States. What is an amendment? Just in a plain English, to amend something is to change, is to make some sort of additional or some sort of modification of something. So what is an amendment in the Constitution? It means one of these, a change, which is the change in the Constitution, or addition to the Constitution. So you don't need to say a change to the Constitution. Amendment is a change or additional or modification of something. Next question. Question number 5. What do we call the first 10 amendments to the Constitution? What do we call the first 10 amendments of the Constitution? What are the first 10 changes in the Constitution? We call them the Bill of Rights. Those are the first 10 amendments in the Constitution. Question number 6. What is one right or freedom from the First Amendment? In the Bill of Rights, what is one of the freedom from the First Amendment. So when you see the mark like this one, that is a compulsory question to read for people who are 65 and older. So the one right, you are supposed to ask one right, to answer one right, which is the right will be either freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom of press, freedom of petitioning the government. So you can answer one of those. They say just one. So you have to remember one. How many amendments do we have in the Constitution? We have 27 amendments. Question number 8. What did the Declaration of Independence do? What did the Declaration of Independence do? So even if you do not know civics, just go by the words themselves. Declare independence. Declaration of Independence, it means to announce, to declare, to say yourself you are independent. So what did the Declaration of Independence do? It announced in our independence from the Great Britain, that would be one, or to say to declare our independence, or to say that the United States is free, became independent. You declare as independent. Next question, number 9. What are the 2 rights in the Declaration of Independence? What are the 2 rights in the Declaration of Independence? The 2 rights, so that you have to answer 2 of those 3. The 2 rights, one is the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those are the 3 rights. So you are supposed to answer 2 of those. What are the 2 rights in the Declaration of Independence? Is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What is the freedom of religion? Even if you do not know anything, freedom of religion, freedom, you can do anything. So the answer, you can do anything. Freedom of religion, it means you can practice any religion or not practice any religion, and it is not a crime in the law. That is the freedom of religion. What is the economic system of the United States? In the world, we have 2 major economic systems. We have capitalist economy and we have socialist economy. So United States is a capitalist country. For that case, the economic system of the United States is a capitalist economy. Or we call a market economy, a free economy, a free market economy. The market is the one determining the economy, not the socialist economy or the planned economy. So the answer, what is the economic system of the United States? It is a capitalist economy, or you can say a market economy or free capitalist economy. That is correct answer. Question number 12. What is the rule of law? Just like the word itself is, rule of law. Leadership, everything is about the law. Rule of the law. It means everyone must abide, everyone must obey, everyone must follow the law. In other words, everyone must follow the law, leaders must obey the law, government must obey the law, no one is above the law. All people are equal before the law. So one of those answers is correct. The rule of law, law. The rule is of the law. No one is not the rule of human being. Is the law is above everyone. So one of those is the correct answer. Question number 13. Name one branch or part of the government. There are 3 parts of the government. This is everywhere you go around the world. We have the parliament, but in the United States, we don't say parliament. We call Congress. In the Congress, you can also say legislative or legislature. So Congress or legislative is one answer. So don't say Congress, the first answer, and the second one is legislative. This is one thing. Then president or executive, this is another branch, because within the executive there is the president. Then we say the judicial or judiciary. Within the judiciary there is court. So don't say the court and judiciary, these are the two forms. So one of these you say Congress, but don't use the word parliament, because Congress is a parliament in America, but in most of British system we say parliament. So parliament, or what you call Congress, executive, and judicial. One of those you can mention. Question number 14. What stops one branch of government from becoming too powerful? What stops the branch of government from one to be so powerful? We said there is Congress, executive, and judicial. Those are the three branches. What makes one of those branches not to be too powerful? What stops them? There is a system called separation of power. That means there is a checks and balances. So one of these answers is correct. There is a power of the judiciary, there is a power of executive, and there is a power of the Congress. Each one has their own power, and one checks the other and balancing the other. Question number 15. Who is in charge of the executive branch? Executive branch means the White House, means the government. Who is the more in charge? Is the President of the United States. Question number 16. Who makes the laws? The federal laws, not the state laws. The federal laws are going to be made by the Congress, which in our countries, some of the countries we are using, we use the term parliament, but in US don't use the word parliament. They don't use that. We say Congress. Congress, there are two Congress, or there are two within our parliaments. There is upper and lower, like in the British system. So there is a Senate, and then there is House of Representative. But when you say, just say who, if they ask you who makes federal law, just say the Congress, or say House of Representative and the Senate. So that is all. So that is who makes the law. What are the two parts of the US Congress? As I said in the previous question, Congress, there is upper and lower. There is House of Representative and Senate. Senate is bigger than the House of Representative. I will go to further questions about that. But Senate is bigger, so the law goes from the House of Representative going to the Congress to be passed, then it goes to the President. How many senators are there? Senate has 100 members. Remember, we have 50 states in America. If we have 50 states, each state has 2 senators. These senators represent the whole state. It is different from other, when we talk about House of Representatives, there are so many of those. This one doesn't care the size of the state, population of the state. California is the biggest state with over 40 million people, will have 2 senators, just like a small state of Vermont. But if we want to add, there are few other senators who are going to be there but are not voting members. So I'm not going to want to confuse those, just go and answer 100 members. We elect US senators for how many years? When we elect senators, we elect them to serve for 6 years. That is how we elect them. Question number 20. Who is one of your state's US senators now? This question will vary depending on which state you are from. So you will answer. So my question will be, go to your website, to the website, and look who is the current senator in your state. And also you have to know at least the House of Representatives in your state. The answer will vary, but remember, the District of Columbia and US territories, they don't have senators per se who are voting. So this is the answer. District of Columbia residents or US territories should answer that DC or the territories where the applicants lives have no US senators. So that is what you need to know. And if you want, there are how many members of the I want to show you, okay, but there are some who are not non-voting member. So those usually don't count. Question number 21. The House of Representatives has how many voting members? House of Representatives, how many members? 435 members. This is the number. It hasn't changed. It changes basing on the size of the state's population. So after the new 2020 census, the number might change, but at the moment, this is the current number of the House of Representatives. Question number 22. We elect a US representative for how many years to serve? We elect them to serve for 2 years. So the current election we had was November 2020. The next election, usually we call the mid-election, it will be 2022. Then there will be 2024, 2026. That is how it is for the US House of Representatives. How we elect US representative for how many years? We elect them for 2 years. Name your US representative in your state. Who are your US representative? Again, this will vary from each person. Remember, go and Google to find out who is the current member of your state. But again, if you are coming from these territories, these are non-delegates, non-voting delegates, and also you can be able to find that one. Another question, who does a US senator represent? The difference between House of Representatives and the senator, a senator represents everybody in that particular state, all people of the state. That's why there are 2 senators in each state. But if you take a House of Representatives, those they represent the constituents of their places where they are coming to represent, not the full state ahead. Why do some states have more representatives than the others? As I've been talking before, it is because of the state population, the size of the state and population. That is the one determining the number. California has more number, higher number of representatives than Vermont because of the population. That's why even the electoral college or electoral votes, California has 55. Texas has a lot. Florida, they have a lot compared to the smaller states like Wyoming. So that is the reason. We elect a president for how many years? How many years when we elect a president to serve in the office is 4 years. The previous election was 2020 November. The next election will be 2024. That is the next term. In what month do we vote for a US president? The US president is voted on November, in the month of November. And to be exactly, it is the first Tuesday of the month of November is the election. So that is when they do the US election. What is the name of the President of the United States now? Right now, who is the president? The current president is Joe Biden. So you can say the full name, Joe R. Biden, Joe Biden, or Biden. Don't say the first name, Joe. Who is Joe? If someone answered this question in the year 2020, up to January, beginning of before January 20, the answer will be Donald Trump. But from January 20, the current president is Joe R. Biden or Joe Biden, or you can say Biden. You can answer one of those. What is the name of the Vice President of the United States right now? The current Vice President is Kamala Harris, or you can say whatever you call Madam Harris or Kamala Harris. So that is the Vice President. But if you take this one in the year 2025 and they change, that will be different. If the president can no longer serve, who becomes the president? Let's say the president dies. Let's say the president gets sick and can no longer become the president. Let's say the president is impeached and removed from the office. Who will be the president? Will be the vice president. Vice president means the assistant of president. And in this one, we show the swearing in of the vice president, LBJ is the president aboard on the Air Force after the death of Kennedy. This is the vice president became president by that time. Other question is, what if the president, if both the president and the vice president can no longer serve? Who becomes the president? For those who have watched the show, the Designated Survivor can know this one. So if president is no longer the president, vice president becomes. If president and the vice president can no longer serve, the Speaker of the House is the one in the following order to become to become that one. But just for your knowledge, what if the Speaker also can no longer serve? President, vice president, the Speaker, then Secretary of State. Who is the commander-in-chief of the military? The commander-in-chief of the military in almost all countries around the world is the president of the particular country, is the commander of all armed forces, or the chief, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces or the military. Who signs the bills to become the law? Remember, the bill is what is taken to the Congress. House of Representatives, they are going to vote. After voting is going to the Senate. The Senate votes, and who's going to stand to make it a law is the US President. Question number 34. Who vetoes the bills? The only person with the power to veto any bill. By veto, we mean the bill is going to the House, is voted yes, then it goes to the Senate, is going to be voted yes, but a veto is to say no, to go against what is the final bill comes to become a law, and you are going to veto. You are going to put the final, not I don't agree with the House and the Congress. That will be the president. What does the president's cabinet do? The cabinet, first of all, is the group of people who are supporting the president. The ministers in our countries, we call them, here is just, we call just the cabinet. Cabinet is the group of ministers, but here we don't call them ministers, we call them secretaries. Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary of Homeland Security. What is their job? All over the world, their job is one, is to advise the president. That is their job. What are the two cabinet level positions? I just mentioned some of the positions. What are some of the secretaries or ministries? What are the, we call them secretaries, we don't call them minister. Minister of Agriculture, we don't say Minister of Agriculture. We say the Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Defense, Education, Energy, Health Services, and the Health and Human Services. So you have to mention two of the cabinet level positions. Just mention two: Secretary of State, Secretary of Interior, or Energy, Education. So mention two of those. They're not going to change the question. When they're asking you, they're not going to say 4. They will tell you what are the 2 cabinet levels. So the questions will be the same. So just mention 2 of those. Next question, 37. I will start going faster so that you can be able to finish. What does the judicial branch do? One of the branch I said is judiciary, or the courts. What are they going to do? The court always is going to review the law, or to explain the law, or is going to decide if the law goes against the Constitution, to resolve any disputes, disagreements. That is the function of the judicial. 38. What is the highest court in the United States? In some of the countries, the highest we say the Court of Appeal, but here the highest court we say the Supreme Court. That is the highest court in the United States. The other question is, how many justices are on the Supreme Court? I just even going ahead to give you the photo of the judicial. So this is the previous photo, is not the most current photo, because Justice Ruth passed away in the year 2020 and was replaced by another justice. So there are 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this has been there for over 100 years. There are 9 justices. And the Chief Justice, or they are called associate, and the Chief Justice is John Roberts Jr., who one is in the middle. That is the one. So the Supreme Court, they say here, just going to confirm the number, but I want to let you know the number is 9, and those 9 is not going to change for over 100 years. It has been that way. Question number 40. Who is the Chief Justice of the United States right now? Right now, the Chief Justice is Justice John Roberts Jr., the one in the middle, the one who did the oath for President Joe Biden, did it the same way for President Trump. Here they will say you have to go to find the name because it can change. Question number 41. Under our Constitution, some powers belong to the federal government. What is one power of the federal government? Remember, we have federal government, we have states. They have different separation of power. What are these powers of the federal government? It means the states don't have that power. Printing of money. One state cannot decide to print their own money. That is the job of the federal government, Federal Reserve. A state cannot declare war. Only the federal government can declare the war. You cannot create your own army. Army is under the federal. To make it treaties, a state cannot make it treaty on behalf of the country. So these are among the powers belong to the federal government, and the states cannot have these kind of powers. So you have to answer one of these powers. So we said about the power of question number 41, it was the power of the federal government. Question number 42, under our Constitution, some powers belong to the states. What are the powers belong to the state? They are not belong to the federal government. To provide education, school education, that is different. The police protection. Remember, the police is under the state, but the FBI under the federal. Providing safety, the fire departments, giving the driving licenses, approving zoning and land use. Those are some of the state's powers which are not federal. And for those who are following up, so those are some. Question number 43. Who is the governor of your state right now? That will depend on which state you are. It will vary. So go and find who is the governor of your state. But remember, the DC, District of Columbia, if you are resident there, DC doesn't have a governor. What is the capital of your state? The capital of your state, again, will vary. I cannot say this is the capital of your state, depending on the state. But again, the District of Columbia residents should answer that DC is not the state and does not have capital. But the residents of the territories, they have to name their own capitals. 45. What are the two major political parties in the United States? This, I think, is the very easiest answer because we have two major political parties, the Democratic Party and the Republican. There are other small parties, yeah, but these are the major two political parties. What is the political party of the president right now? The current president from January 20, 2021 and beyond until anything changes is President Joe R. Biden. Don't say Joe, you have to say Joe Biden or say Biden. You cannot just go by the first name. So that one will be able, the answer will be that way. 47, what is the name of the Speaker of the House of Representatives right now? Right now, the Speaker of the House is Nancy Pelosi. That is the current Speaker. And this will go on until after election, mid-election in the year 2022, November. After that, the majority, the party with the more winners in the House will find who will be the Speaker of the House. 48, there are 4 amendments to the Constitution about who can vote. Describe one of them. Remember, there are so many changes. Who can vote in the parliament, in the Constitution? Number 1, it was citizens at the age of 18 and older can vote. Another one, it was you can vote without paying, you don't need to pay for tax in order to vote. And any citizen can vote, whether a man or a woman. And a male citizen of any race can vote. Remember about the issue of people, black people not voting or women not voting. So these are some of those changes. So you are describe one of them. So that is one of them. What is the responsibility? One responsibility that only a U.S. citizen. What is the one responsibility that only for U.S. citizens, United States citizens? The responsibility is to serve in a jury in the court of law, but also to vote in a federal election. That's why a green card holder cannot do these two things. You cannot vote. If you vote as a green card holder, it's a very serious crime, you will be deported. And a green card holder cannot serve in the jury. Question number 50. Name one right only the U.S. citizen is only for the U.S. citizen, United States citizen, to vote in the federal election, to run for the federal office. But again, when you say to run for the federal office, me as a person born in another country and become a citizen here through what you call naturalization, I cannot run as a president or a vice president because I cannot become, because I was not born here. So you can run for federal office, but not a president. Or you can vote in election. 51. What are 2 rights of everyone living in the United States have? Remember, we talked about the Bill of Rights. Some of those ones are freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom to petition the government, freedom of religion, freedom to right to bear arms. Those are some of the freedoms or rights everybody in the United States is able to express. 52. What do we show loyalty to when we say the Pledge of Allegiance? There are 2 things. Number 1, we pledge to the allegiance to the United States and to put another allegiance to the flag. 53. What is one promise you make when you become a United States citizen? That is when you give up your citizenship, you give up the loyalty you have to any other country, and you become loyal to the United States, and you are going to give a promise that you are going to defend the Constitution of the United States and the law of the United States. You are going to obey the law of the United States. You are going to be able to serve in the military if mandated or if needed under situations, and also be able to serve the nation if needed and be loyal to the United States. So you have to give at least one promise you are going to do, but the best one is just to defend your country. How old do citizens have to vote for the president? This is to vote for any election in the United States, not only for the president. You must be at the age of 18 and above in order to be able to vote. 55. What are 2 ways that Americans can participate in the democracy? There are so many ways to participate in the democracy. I know some of this one, even a green card holder can do, but these are the best thing you can be able to do. Number 1 is to vote in election. That even if you are a green card holder, you are not allowed to do that. It's only American citizens can participate in the democracy to vote, to join political party, to help with a campaign, to join a civic group, join a community group, give an elected official your opinion on the issue, call senators or representative, public support or oppose an issue policy, run for the office, write it to a newspaper. I know some of these rights or some of these ways you can participate, even as a green card holder, you can be able to do. But these 2, especially voting and running for the office, those you cannot be able to do. So one of those you have to mention 2 of those. Question 56. When is the last day you can send in a federal tax incomes or tax forms? Usually, it is part of the Constitution or part of the law. It is on April 15. Number 57. When must all men register for the selective service? I know some people, they do not know what is selective service. This is about when people are drafted to go into the military, you have to register in case of something. People are going for the military, like for instance, all active duty, reserve have been going to the war, then who will be sent by to be called for the draft if the draft happens? It doesn't happen. So you must be should be at the age of 18 and 16. It is male or men at the age of 18 to 26, be allowed to be going to register for the selective service. This is supposed to be someone to be able to be drafted if there is a war and they need extra people to go to the war. So if you're a green card holder here, you have to register for that. What is one reason colonialists came to America? Colonists, I'm sorry. What is the one reason colonists came to America? Why people moved away from Britain, come to America at the beginning? Remember, all people came here for the matter of the freedom. People wanted to be to have the freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom of opportunity, freedom of expressing their ideas. So overall, it was a freedom, escaping persecutions. So that is how colonists came to America. 59, who lived in America before the European arrived? So people can choose one of these questions, one of these answers. American Indians or Native Americans is the same answer. Or people say just Indians, but not confused with Indians in the country of India. 60, what group of people was taken to America and sold as slaves? Basically, we know people who came as slaves in America are Africans. So when you say people from Africa or Africans, is the same thing. That's how Black people came to America in the first place. Why did the colonists fight the British? We said in the previous answer, people wanted to have freedom because of high taxes, taxation without representation, because people, the British Army stayed in their houses, boarding, quartering, because they didn't have self-government. So people wanted to have freedom, expression, all those kind of things. Who wrote the Declaration of Independence? The answer is Thomas Jefferson. Don't say Thomas, just say Jefferson or Thomas Jefferson. When was the Declaration of Independence adopted? It was in the year July 4th, 1776. That is what we say the Independence Day. So that is the declaration. There were 13 original states. Name 3 states which we call them the original states. These original states are New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. So one of these states, so they say mention 3 of those. So make sure you do that one. The best way to be in a safe way, if you forget, most of these states are East Coast states. They are not Midwest or Western, Pacific in Western part or Southern states. Most of these, they are all Northwestern states, Northeastern states. So East Coast states, most of these one are the one, if you want to way to remember them. What happened at the Constitutional Convention? What happened on that convention? It was the signing or the writing or just the day where the Constitution was written. So the Constitution was written on what we call on the Constitutional Convention. The Founding Fathers wrote the Constitution. So another question, sorry. When was that Constitution written? Because we say so 66. When was the Constitution written? It was written in the year 7687. That was the year Constitution was written. That is different from the Declaration of Independence. The Federalist Papers supported the passage of the U.S. Constitution. Name one of the writers of the Federalists. This is, we can say Madison, Hamilton, Jay, Publius. So you can say James Madison, Alexander Hamilton. You can say John Jay, or just the last name, and Publius. So one of those one are what we call the Federalist Papers, people who supported that one. What is one thing Benjamin Franklin is famous for? Benjamin Franklin is famous for so many things. So the answer will be one of these, those answers. U.S. diplomat, the oldest member of the Constitutional Convention, first Postmaster General of the United States, the writer of the Poor Richard's Almanac, started the first free libraries. So you can choose one of those one to remember what is famous for. The best way, just say, is among, if you say if you remember the Constitutional, that means it will be the best way. Who is the father of our nation, or father of our country? Usually it's George Washington. Don't say George, because there is George Bush, there is George, so many George, but we say George Washington or Washington. Who was the first president? Again, is the father of the country, George Washington. So this is the way, like how you remember, you just remember the questions which are related. 71, what territory did the United States buy from the French in the year 1803? It is the state of Louisiana, or the territory of Louisiana, that was purchased. That's why if you go to the state of Louisiana, you will find out most of the names are French names. People have the French names, names of the places are that way, and there is a lot of French influence if you go to the Louisiana. Name one war fought by the United States in the 1800s. There are so many wars. One of those wars is the War of 1812, the Mexican-American War, the Civil War, the Spanish-American War. One of those wars you can be able to say, and you can be able to get the correct answer. 73. Name the U.S. war between the North and the South. American Civil War, the Civil War, or the war between the states. So it's the same thing. So just the Civil War. Name one problem that led to the Civil War. Remember, the Civil War was the war between the states. It was the war between the states, so between the northern state and the southern states. So one problem that led to the Civil War, it was all about economic reasons and mostly about slavery. So slavery, economic reasons, state rights. So one of those will be the correct answer. And this is the time where we'll come to talk about Abraham Lincoln. What was one important thing that Abraham Lincoln did? As I talk about the war and everything about slavery. So one of that is the emancipation, the freedom of the slaves, proclamation for emancipation, saved or preserved the Union, because remember it was the war between the states, so saved the Union, led the United States during the Civil War. During that Civil War between the North and the South, Abraham Lincoln was the president and was able to sign the emancipation and saved the Union. And that's why Lincoln is most famous for those kind of things. What did the Emancipation Proclamation do? That Abraham Lincoln emancipation I'm talking about, it was about the slaves. So it is about to free the slaves. Freed the slaves in the Confederacy. Free the slaves from the Confederate States. So overall, it was just to free who are mostly in the southern states. That is what all about the Emancipation Proclamation, the end of slavery. What did Susan B. Anthony did? What did she do to make her famous? Fought for the women's rights, fought for the civil rights. So women's rights, civil rights, that is one. One of those one will make her famous for. Name one war fought by the United States in 1900. 1900, not 2000, 1900, there are so many wars the United States fought. First World War, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, Persian War, or the Gulf War, which was 1991. So one of those wars, and this is the most famous Iwo Jima photograph back in the 45 after the Second World War in Japan. So one of that war is the famous, was in that particular time. Who was the president during the World War I? Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson. So you can say Wilson or Woodrow Wilson. Try to use the last name or two names if you want to remember well, instead of just saying Woodrow. Yes. Who was the president during the Great Depression? So here you can answer the two. There are this is going to be able to say is Roosevelt, but some people they say FDR. But remember, don't say Franklin. Franklin is just his first name. There are a lot of Franklin, but this is Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR. Who did the United States fight in the World War II? Remember what we call the Allied power. It was Japan, Germany, and Italy on one side was fighting United States allied with the Great Britain and also with the France. If you want to know that the Allied powers. So United States fought during the Second World War was against those one, German, Japan, and Italy. Remember about the fascism back in the time. Before he was the president, President Eisenhower was a general. What was he in? Eisenhower, before he was the president, he was a general. But in what war? It was on World War II. During the Cold War, what was the main concern of the United States? Remember, at that time, United States is fighting more with Russia in what we call Cold War. The more war was on communism. Don't say socialism is a little bit different between socialism and communism. So that is about the East German, Russia, and all other. It was about communist time or communism. What movement tried to end racial discrimination? I know at this time people can go ahead and say, oh, Black Lives Matters, or civil rights, whatever, Martin Luther King, or something like that. But what movement tried to end racial discrimination? I know nowadays there are so many things going on, but the answer of this one is the civil rights movement or civil rights. That is the movement which is official back in the time. 85. What did Martin Luther King Jr. do? We are talking about civil rights, and that is what he was fighting for. Martin Luther King was fighting for the civil rights and working for the equality for all Americans, regardless of race and everything else. And yeah. The other question, what major event happened in September 11, 2001 in the United States? I believe this one, everyone has to get it, because this is the defining of what we call the September 11 or terrorist attack, which happened in the United States. So you say the terrorist attack to the United States. Sometimes people can say the terrorists attacking specific in New York or the World Trade Center, Twin Towers. You can go and say those one, but overall it is a terrorist attack in the United States. Name one American Indian tribe in the United States. So there are so many tribes. I know a few, Navajo, whatever, there are so many tribes. So, but sometimes, I mean, I know to mention this, sometimes it's different. For instance, some people say Navajo, but you don't say Navajo, you say Navajo. I remember that some of this one, for instance, before I came to Kansas, I didn't say, is this the Shawnee? So how they pronounce is different. So I know you might have different way on how you pronounce them, but in the end, this will be the way you can, no matter how you pronounce, you'll be able to get it. So they say just name one American Indian tribe. So memorize just two at least, just in case if you forget one. Name one of the two longest rivers in the United States. I'm very much enough to be in the what we call Missouri. I live in Missouri right now. Missouri River is just not far from where I live, and the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River is among the also among the longest one. It goes to a lot of states. While I was in West Virginia, I was very nearby it. Okay, another question, 899. What ocean is on the west coast of the United States? West coast is Pacific Ocean, but I know they don't ask you which one is, if they ask on the east, on the west is Pacific, and which one is on the east coast? What ocean is on the east coast? Is Atlantic Ocean. That is on the east coast, is Atlantic Ocean. West coast, Pacific, east coast, Atlantic. Name one US territory. So there are a couple of territories of the US. Number one is Puerto Rico, US Virgin Islands, American Samoa, Northern Mariana, I don't know that one, islands, and Guam. I've been to Guam before. When I was in the US Navy, I deployed in Guam. So in this, each one they have members who are non-voting members in the House and the Congress, in the Congress in general. 92. Name one state that borders Canada. There are so many states which border Canada. One of those, Maine, Ohio, Idaho, New Hampshire, Michigan, Washington. Remember, we are talking Washington, Seattle, not Washington, D.C. Vermont, Minnesota, Alaska, New York, North Dakota, Pennsylvania, and Montana. So what you need to do, just remember at least two. The two states which are northern states. You can see the map. Here there is Washington, then there is Montana, North Dakota, Minnesota, it comes Michigan, New York, whatever. So all these, all those, Ohio is here, but there is Canada is already here. So those are the states which border Canada. So the northern state in the easy way to do. If they ask you, the state bordering the Mexico will be the southern states. So that is the northern state which border Canada. Name one state that borders Mexico. This will be the easy one because there is bordering fewer states and these are bigger states. One is the great state of California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. So there are very few and it is easier to know. You can see on the map here, California, especially on San Diego part, Tijuana there, and that nearby Tijuana, that is the border where it is, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. So those are the four big states which border south or border Mexico. It will be on the south, and they have the largest population of Latino. Question number 94. What is the capital of the United States? That everybody has to get it. In the United States, the capital is Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia. And just for something you didn't know, if you didn't know, there is a law. There is no building is supposed to be taller than this one, the monument, the Washington Monument, or this one. You are not allowed to have any building taller than that. What is the Statue of Liberty? The Statue of Liberty is the one in this picture where you see there is that one, someone having a torch. Where is this picture is the Statue of Liberty? It is in the state of New York. Or people, they say Liberty Island or whatever. Some people, they say New Jersey. So they say also acceptable New Jersey or New York City, Hudson River, all those can be acceptable. Just the easy way, just say it is in New York. Don't start complicating yourself. Statue of Liberty, that one is in New York. That one everybody has to get, because when you talk about United States, that is the first thing you need to know. Why does the flag have 13 stripes? Why? Remember, those 13 stripes are the original states, original colonies. So those stripes represent the original colonies. We mentioned, what are these original colonies? We mentioned them. Or those, what are the original states, the 13 states? What are those states? And I said those are the states in the states which are in East Coast. Those are the original states. So most of these states are East Coast states, as I mentioned. So if you forgot them, go back and you can be able to see those original 13 states. The states which are New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. Those are the original 13 states. And then why does the flag has 50 stars? This one, each person must get it. Why? 13 stripes is 13 original states. The stars means the 50 states, because there is one star for each state, because each star represents a state. Because there are 50 states, it means there are 50 stars. That is the reason. What is the name of the national anthem? Yeah, you need to memorize. I know to memorize that song is a very difficult one. The Spangled Banner, that is the name of the famous national anthem. When do we celebrate Independence Day? Usually that is the most very patriotic day, 4th of July or July 4th. That is the one of the biggest one. Name 2 national US holidays. There are so many holidays around, most likely like they are almost like 10, the most big one, but just mention 2 of them. So in order to make it easier for you, some of these ones are just like in any other country. Just to say New Year Day, New Year is New Year everywhere. Christmas is Christmas everywhere. I mean, most of the countries. And Independence Day, independence is everywhere. So don't take the most complicated answers. So they say name 2. Just say New Year, Christmas, Independence Day. Those are normal one. But if you have green card, you know there is Thanksgiving. If you are here already in the US, you know there is Memorial Day. So if there is Memorial, I mean, this Labor Day, we have all those kind of days. So 2 of those one, New Year. Martin Luther King Day, President's Day. Previously it was Washington, whatever. Yeah, but nowadays it's presidents. Memorial, Independence, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas. So the easy way they say, put it 2. If you want to memorize quicker way, just say the one which you know: New Year, Christmas, Independence. Those are the 3 ones which you cannot lose or you cannot miss at all. So these are the questions. So I'm going to put the link of all these one. I know it is a lot of PowerPoint, but also I'm going to put the link, which this one, they are in the Word format. There are few. So the same questions, the same 100 questions, they are in a PDF form. So just like 11 pages, which are the same answers, but not in a PowerPoint format. So those are the questions and answers for this one. As I said, you're supposed to get 6 out of 10. Let me rise it. You need to get 6 questions correctly in order to pass the civics portion of this one. If you answer correctly, that means you are going for the second part of the English test. So thank you, everyone. Remember to do one favor for me. Go to my YouTube channel and remember to subscribe for the information about scholarships, immigration, writing books, personal growth, how to succeed in America and other countries, so that you can subscribe and watch of my videos. I really appreciate each and everyone for your support. Again, this is Ernest Boniface Makulilo, EBM, and I wish you all the best for you to become American citizen. Thank you and goodbye, everyone.